what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another SandStorm Meetup. Today we are joined by Immersed. We got Renji and Ryan. How are y'all doing today?
Yeah, how are you? Thanks for having us.
Doing great. Yeah, thanks for having us.
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. And you know, thank you guys for coming back on the show. I think me and Slater were talking. I think it was like 5 months ago. It doesn't feel that
Yeah,
long.
yeah, no, it's been like maybe 4 or 5 months. Yeah,
Yeah, it does not feel that long at all. But you know, we're gonna start back with a little bit of introduction for anyone that did not catch the first show 5 months ago. I guess tell me a little bit about yourselves. You know, how you got into the Web3 space, and you know what role you play on the Immersed team.
yeah. Maybe Ryan, you can start for yourself. And I'll go.
Yeah, my name's Ryan. Yep, I lead community and partnerships here at Immerse. I actually was a power user previously, so I was in a previous career. I was in sales, working about 40 hours a week in Immerse, and just really believed in the vision. And then the opportunity came about to join the team. So haven't looked back since.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then for me, yeah. So I started Immersed about 5.5 years ago. I was the first coder on the team a long time ago, but since then we've raised about 12 million bucks. We're partnered with the AR VR tech giants in building mixed reality offices. And so the way it works is it connects your headset to your laptop. It software emulates or spawns 5 virtual screens. And yeah, just like you see in this video, you can have multiple screens. You can code alongside your remote team. You can whiteboard together. So it's quite literally just creating a virtual office for people who are either remote or hybrid remote. And so as people have been spending more time, you know, we're the only VR app, AR VR app that people spend 40 to 50 hours a week every weekend. There isn't even a second VR app that does that. And so as people realize they want to do more than just work in VR, they want to start building businesses in this metaverse and employ people in this metaverse and transact goods and services in the metaverse. And we're quite literally trying to build the world's economy in the metaverse, right? And so because we just clocked the highest amount of user usage on a per user basis, we realized we have a very unique advantage for us to be able to really try to put these economic pillars in place, like digital ownership, digital currency, virtual real estate, and really get people to double down really just their financial assets and their own just personal, almost even figurative investment into our application. So yeah, the hope is we can build the world's economy in the metaverse.
Yeah. And you know, the metaverse ever expanding. We will talk about that later on in the show. But you know, the thing that was always really cool to me was the 5 monitor thing. You know, a lot of people, especially a lot of gamers and you know, crypto traders and stuff, they want all the monitors. But you know, if you want that many monitors, you're gonna have to buy 5 different monitors. And I think, you know, with your guys' application, it's really cool that you can have a laptop and then turn that into 5 monitors in front of you that you can then work on. So yeah, that is a really, really cool feature that comes with Immersed.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah. Yeah, it's something that we started off like 5.5 years ago. And back then it wasn't on Mac or Linux. There were like some PC versions that allowed you to like plug in directly to one of the old Oculus headsets, but there wasn't something where I could take like a MacBook and then a wireless headset and just feel comfortable. So we set out to really build the first version of something that does wireless streaming. So just not having to plug it in, but then also it with low latency, but also virtual screens, right? So I don't have to plug in external monitors and just mirror them into VR, but instead actually trick my laptop into thinking it has multiple monitors and just really use my headset as almost like an infinite display, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And now, you know, for people watching that might not have ever you know, tried out Immersed, where can they try Immersed?
Yeah. So if you have either an Oculus headset, we're on the Vive. We're coming soon to the Pico headset. You'll see us on some of the kind of Microsoft mixed reality headsets and Steam VR in the coming quarters as well. But yeah, I mean, if you really just search for Immersed in the search bar in your app store on your VR headset, it's usually the first thing or it's always the first thing that comes up. Even if you type in like virtual screens or desktop, it should be one of the first things that pop up.
Nice. Yeah, because you guys are like top rated in the Oculus store, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we're the top non-gaming app in the Oculus store.
Nice. And I guess how much does it cost?
Yeah. I mean, right now, Immersive is free, right? So if you want to be able to just have your laptop and 3 screens, all of that is free. When you just want to have 5 screens, if you want to have 2 more, it's $10 one time paid. We're also doing some experimentation around, like users are constantly asking for new environments. So we're doing some experimentation around one-time paid models for, if you want to have this environment versus the other, you can essentially go into these different co-working spaces and try it out for free. And then if you want to be able to do that private, then you can purchase it for, $2, $5, $10, depending on the high qualityness of the environment itself.
Nice. And another thing that is really big with Immersed is the remote collaboration, and we saw this a lot with the pandemic, and people getting shut down. A lot of people working from home. Like Ryan said, he was in sales, and they were avid user of Immersed. I guess how many different people do you guys have currently like working daily in Immersed?
Yeah, I mean, we're on the order of like tens of thousands of users. I think kind of as Meta continues to push commercials for their new Meta Quest Pro headsets, a lot thinner than the old headsets that were this big brick thing on your head. But Immersed is actually in those commercials. So if you watch like the NBA Finals last year, you would see a bunch of Oculus commercials. You're going to start seeing a lot of Immersed commercials as well, which I'm really excited about. And we're like, you'll see the virtual displays and all of that. And then also, if you, we're being pushed through all of Meta's Best Buy and Walmart kiosks for demoing their headsets as well. So the hope is that would push us into the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of users. And especially when Apple comes out with their headset, apparently they're shipping developer kits around March timeframe and June, July, hopefully shipping to the public. And usually whenever Apple enters a space, that really validates that hardware vertical. And I mean, I just feel like we're going to see some pretty crazy catalytic events around when Apple enters the space. The hope is we'll have millions and millions of users someday. So,
yeah, I agree. It is pretty cool to see you guys in Best Buy as well. That's got to be awesome to see you walk in the store and
it's pretty crazy. Yeah, it blew my mind because I knew we were partnering with Meta to show off the new headset in all the Walmarts and Best Buys. I just hadn't walked into a Walmart or Best Buy in a long, long time. And so when I finally did, we were there for something else. I was like, wait, I think we might be on one of the kiosks here. And so I went over there and I filmed it. And like the lady who's actually demoing it, as you see in this video, she's the Meta employee who demos the headset if you want to try it. And she was like, oh, would you like a demo? I was just like, no, I just came to take a look at the kiosk to see if we were on this thing. And she was like, oh, what are you talking about? So I told her, hey, like I'm like the actual founder of Immerse. And she's like, holy crap, your app is the one that people always want to demo. And so it was just really encouraging. It's a pretty mind-blowing thing just because, I don't know, we saw in the early days when there was just like this crappy little prototype and now seeing it blasted all throughout the nation, all around the world. It's crazy, man. So.
No, yeah, that is cool. And on the topic of VR and mass adoption, especially like you said with Apple, I guess, what do you think has to happen for traditional businesses to say like, hey, like we're going to cut the Zoom meetings or coming into the office and we're going to put on VR headsets and get in the metaverse?
Yeah, I mean, there's some pretty crazy stuff that we're working on behind the scenes right now to help with that. Like what we noticed is people will so a lot of users, the vast majority of users, 90% of them use it just for solo. They just have their laptop, multiple screens, and they never really interact with other people in it. It's just because they just want to have extended displays in cool environments, right? Instead of just working from home with their maybe one or two different additional external monitors and like staring at their wall all day. And then the other kind of 10%, they'll collaborate in that space, but it ultimately isn't. There isn't a product that allows people to like co-work like they did before. Before. By the way, Ryan, do you mind muting yourself? I'm just trying to focus. Yeah. I was trying to think about how like before COVID, I didn't spend all day every day collaborating with people. Like I was sitting next to people, and if I was roadblocked by something, I poke my neighbor on the shoulder. Hey, can you help me out with this real quick? Help me out for like 3 to 5 minutes, and then get back. Can I get back to my work? It was after meeting. Also, wasn't slow working thing that allowed us to have effective collaboration. So people are remote. There are apps out there like TeamFlow. If you go to Team, it's like this bird's eye view of what a desk your could look like, or your seat at the office could look like from a bird view. Or to like why, and then your microphone turns out. It's like this crappy version of what we office. And for us, we're like to quite literally recreate the in-office experience for these remote team things. Like, so say for example, you have half your team in office and half at home. Mm-hmm. Well, the half that are in the office, they're going to be here, and if there's a way, like Kingsman style, bring them into that office, then the remote people into the office, and then the people can wipe from there. You can poke your neighbor on the shoulder. They're not there; they're just virtually, almost like a hologram or something. That's a solution that would level the playing field between those at home versus. For example, Elon Musk talked about how Tesla or space, if you're not in the office, then I work at to find another job. And the problem being because in the office and can have sync collaboration, live, rapid iterative stuff, they have a huge upper hand remotely who have. And so if we get that synchronous experience for people who are, dude, that's a next level type product. So you said, we're working on something called virtual about, you'll see a lot more content in the next couple of months. Essentially, you're putting on the headset, all of your, like you're in the physical office, you put on the headset, all of your coworkers there with you, you take it back in the office. It's really like Kingsman type stuff. And so we're really excited about that. You guys will see more content in the next couple of months.
Awesome. Yeah. And, I think we are, we're having a little bit of connection issues. I mean, I heard a lot of what you were saying, but a lot of it is breaking up as well.
Let me just make sure that, can you hear me now though?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I'm gonna close some of the other stuff, but yeah, sorry.
All right.
And these are the problems we're trying to get around, man. You know, being remote.
Yeah. And you know, I think we had talked about this last time you guys were on the show, but it hadn't happened yet. But now, you know, you guys are developing virtual Manhattan, which, you know, that's really cool. You guys are doing, I think I was reading 10,000 different properties in virtual Manhattan, correct?
I'll let Ryan start talking just so that I can make sure my connection's better.
All right.
Yeah. So we're going to have a limited amount of plots. That'll be 10,000. So that's just kind of broken up into different tiers of properties. And it's simply a persistent open world that we're building where people can have user-generated content, be able to build their own experiences, environments, whether it's co-working spaces or music venues, stuff like that. And so,
yeah. So the different tiers of properties, you have custom, where basically people are just buying, you know, empty plots of land, and that they can just build whatever they want on it, up to 49 floors, correct? So that they could get a third party, you know, builder to come in and build for them, or they could build.
Correct. Yeah. So generally speaking, there's going to be certain requirements, kind of like HOA sort of kind of rules, but in general, yes, you'll be able to customize entirely your building.
And then the next tier is the standard building, which pre-built buildings by Immersed. You guys build it for them. It's either from 1 floor up to 14. I did have a question of the fact that if someone didn't want you guys to build it, say like they were a builder or, you know, they had a builder, would they be able to opt out of you guys building it, or are these just already pre-built that just get thrown on the land?
For the custom plots, they could.
Yes, for the custom plots, they could. The standard plots are really for folks that kind of want to be more hands-off and just have us kind of take care of most of the heavy lifting.
Okay, awesome. And then the next one up from that is the mid-rise building, which is 15 to 49 floors. And then the one above that is a skyscraper, which is up to 100 floors. Now, what are the different things that you can do on these floors in a building?
Yeah, great question. Kind of what I mentioned earlier. You can build certain experiences, such as like co-working. We're talking with some companies about building just kind of like an immersive experience just for even shopping. So being able to showcase like your NFTs, or if you're in the retail space, being able to kind of digitize some of those common spaces where people can actually experience in a virtual reality kind of way some of the products that they may have kind of on the shelf. And so a lot of those use cases are still kind of happening in real time because a lot of folks just don't know what's possible. And so we're kind of helping kind of co-explore that with them.
Yeah. And I think that does have a lot of potential. In my opinion, in the metaverse, a company like Amazon coming in and just making it so easy for someone to be sitting there in their VR headset and just click a button and they buy something. It's like almost like swiping a credit card, but you just press a button. You're like, oh, it shows up to my house in like 2 days. So I definitely think that'll be huge.
One use case I will say that is becoming a little bit more popular now is there's several like alternative forms of schooling that we've been talking to who are looking to virtualize their schools. And so figuring out ways where they can create a really helpful, immersive experience to help their students just stay really engaged in ways that they maybe otherwise couldn't, or there's limitations kind of in the real world. And so that's really exciting for me, just being able to see how VR and something particularly in virtual Manhattan could potentially just really help kind of the next generation of children, just creating a much better learning experience than what they're accustomed to.
Yeah, and also, by the way, I'm hardline now, so we should be good. Hopefully, you should be able to hear me a lot better.
No, yeah, it's much better.
Good. I was going to say that another cool thing that we're able to do with this is because we're working on virtual HQ type stuff, and I mentioned just at a high level if I was cutting out before that it's quite literally just the ability for those who are in the office to put on a headset, and now you see your remote team in that office with you, kind of like just Kingsman, you see the holograms, whatever. Like we're really excited to build that, but as that plugs into something like a virtual Manhattan, where now sort of just the everyday general business who has hybrid remote teams that wants to work in VR, AR experiences together, that plugging into this metaverse economy almost automatically brings a lot more people into the Web3 side of things without them even realizing it, right? They don't even have to necessarily even know that the office that they're in exists in the context of a kind of professional metaverse, or that it's built on the blockchain. Like they don't necessarily have to even know all the details, all of that. It'll be really cool to see how this will all kind of just very naturally kind of be facilitated into a Web3 focused future.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree. I think, a lot of people are just going to go and work, or not even going to work, but, be sitting at home at their desk, throw the headset on. They won't even know whose building they're in, what office, which I guess I had a question about the skyscraper. I mean, 100 floors, like, do you think, are you able to rent out certain sections of your skyscraper? Like, could you rent out 10 floors or 2 floors?
That's the hope, right? Like that people would be able to kind of do what they want with it. We don't want to limit people as to what they can do in it from the standpoint, as long as it's, legal and appropriate. But giving companies the ability or property owners the ability to have office space themselves, rent it out. Like for us, as we onboard more and more enterprise customers who want to work in VR, we tell them, hey, you have to pay virtual rent, right? Like something that, and essentially the old legacy model was for them to pay some sort of large monthly subscription, right? Like $20,000 a month for whatever. What if like half that went towards like a virtual lease, and someone in our metaverse economy was making money off of that, and they were incentivized to create an awesome experience for that customer? It's almost like we're able to distribute a lot of the customer success, right? For the sake of our customers and our users. And so it actually empowers builders to be very entrepreneurial and be incentivized or motivated to build good businesses in our metaverse, and thus attract more business. Very similar to almost like Airbnb, right? It's where Airbnb is in partnership with the hosts, and those hosts have to create amazing experiences for the consumers on that platform.
Yep. And with the custom built ones, I did have another question of, say I buy land, I custom build like a 5-story building. I use it for a year. My company goes under. We're out of business. I sell off my land to someone else. Are they able to destroy that building and then put whatever they want there after that?
Correct. Yeah, as long as they are working with a builder who knows how to use things like Blender, Maya, 3ds Max, etc. As long as they know how to do all of that, yes. Like we're intentionally not democratizing builder tools, partly because, to be real, like most people aren't very good builders. Like most people, like if you're a builder yourself, if you're an architect or artistic person or a 3D artist, etc., then you're probably cut out for building a compelling metaverse. But if you're like me and you're very kind of math focused, coding focused, you're not very focused on aesthetics. And so I would actually prefer someone build it for me, because like, just like the real world, right? If I buy a plot of land in the real world, I'm going to work with an architect, some contractors to get it done. I'm not the one going to Home Depot, buying 2x4s and hammering away, right? Like I'm going to be wanting to help provide vision and direction, but I'm not the one who's executing on this. Likewise with our metaverse, if we want it to be something that's compelling and people want to come back to, it's something where we probably should not democratize builder tools, but instead plug them or pair them up with someone who knows how to do that well, and give them the ability to just cast vision.
Yeah. So you guys do help connect people that with builders that can help them build on their land, correct?
Yeah, like Sandstorm. Yeah.
Yep. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I think excited to see how Manhattan builds. You guys, when did you guys start minting this out?
Yeah, so we kind of did a sort of smaller proof of concept, which ended up being pretty successful. Initial drop with just users, followers, friends, family, people who just already believed in our vision. Back in May of May of this year. It's so funny. It feels like it's been so long. And it was so crazy. It was like there's about $1.5 million worth of people who want to invest in. But right around that time, Coinbase was having some like issues with transferring ETH to people, and it got delayed like 2 weeks or some. then right around that time, crypto started crashing. So we're like, oh crap, this is bad timing. And obviously we weren't able to time that because we had to give people 2 weeks notice. And after the 2 weeks was up and they had their ETH, they then started buying it, but it started actually, the price of ETH started going down. And so we made sure to honor the price for people. We didn't say, oh, hey, it's $10,000 for this plot USD no matter what. We said, hey, it's actually this amount in ETH, like we told you way back when. So though it's less in USD today, it's the same amount of ETH. And then fast forward to I believe September, October, we did another drop as well to open up more plots, but to make it a little bit more accessible or to democratize it a little bit, because we realized the price points that we had shot for back in May were mainly for people who really, really, really believe in our vision and know for sure Immerse is going to make it to the moon. But then there are more people kind of from the Web3 world, kind of the NFT degens, et cetera, that we wanted to open this up to as well. And just to be real, like they haven't had as long a relationship with Immersed. And so we made some more kind of like, we call them basic plots versus premium plots. So essentially the basic plots are half the price of a premium one, but whenever you build your business on it or monetize it, you actually get taxed twice as much, right? So you get, because Immerse takes a cut in order to keep its metaverse running. So 5% if you have a premium plot, or 10% if you have a basic plot. So though the plots, their positioning is not relative to whether it's basic or premium, the amount of cut, essentially, like what it costs, essentially it's a subsidy sort of thing, where if it's cheaper, then you pay more later, or if it's more expensive now, then you pay less later.
Yeah. And have you guys had a lot of people, interacting with the metaverse and already started building things?
No. So we're actually doing some more kind of internal beta testing with some of our users. Okay. We're shooting for kind of end of Q1. The thing is, there's a lot of feature sets, and also a lot of new headsets that are coming out that our team is having to support. And so we've been having to, I guess it's all good problems, right? The space is filling up, which is awesome. It's been hard to be able to ship a lot of these things on time, because we're also having to do some stuff for this tech giant and then this tech giant, which again is all good, that's plugging into this metaverse economy. Because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we have a metaverse that is packed full of consumers that builders can actually provide goods and services to, as opposed to an empty metaverse and there's like a ton of builders and it's like, okay, well, they're not providing services for anyone or selling any goods to anyone. So it's good that we're deploying our product to a bunch of new headsets that are coming out. The hard part is it's having to push back our date for the builders by a couple of months. So again, we're shooting for end of Q1. My guess is probably like beginning of Q2, maybe middle of Q2. That's a little bit more realistic, but the hope is that before middle of next year, we'll be able to have kind of a pretty awesome ribbon cutting event, and that'll be really exciting to really open up the world's first professional metaverse economy. Yeah,
and I mean, right now is not really the time to be releasing a whole lot of stuff, with everything going on, not only in the crypto space, but with the world and the economy. So
and I think it's important to build during the bear market, though, right? Like think about companies like Airbnb, right? Like they started during the housing market crisis, right? So it's like, wait, isn't that like a real estate company kind of thing? But yeah, 100%. And that's when they were able to really, really build and follow the next wave. So if there's ever a time that Immerse wants to enter the Web3 crypto type market, it's going to be at the valley. We don't want to start at the peak, because that means that things are going to depreciate over time. We want to start at a valley so that we can then ride the wave back up.
Yep, that is true. That is true. Now, there are multiple different things, that we've already talked about that you're able to do in this virtual Manhattan. Something that was interesting to me is that you said, it says that there's 4 different personas, and the citizens, I think, was the most interesting to me, because, they're essentially people that don't own property. They are able to rent property, but they could eventually become owners of the property. Is that just through them buying it, or is there a way that interacting with the app that they can also just become owners of property?
Yeah, so we implemented this thing called Immerse Credits into our application, where every day you come back to the app, you actually accrue 100 credits, Immerse credits, and then every minute you spend in Immerse, you actually get an additional credit, right? So if you spend 3 hours in Immerse today, you get 180 credits, right? So because you spent 180 minutes in our app. So over the course of time, for those who don't already have other means of making money or aren't as rich as other people, there's a way that you could then kind of work and earn your way to, it's essentially what we're calling it. We're actually partnered with the Republic Crypto on the world's first work and earn token, which we're really excited about. And so what that does is it allows users who are spending the most amount of time in our metaverse economy, those who are contributing the most, to be able to earn their way towards being able to acquire some of these properties. And then obviously you would then spend the currency that you had acquired in order to acquire the actual asset itself.
Nice. Yeah, that is, I don't think we've had like walk to earn, we've had play to earn. I've never heard of work to earn. So
Yeah, and the cool thing is, like, I think the reason why um, this is very, very different from a lot of those other and earns or to earn type models is because people are already doing this in our app already, right? Like
Yeah.
if they, whether or not there's a Web3 side of this, Immerse is already a strongly used product. It's a very heavy utility focused product where it's solving a huge pain for a lot of people. And um, again, we're the only VR app that people are using 50 hours a week every week. The fact that there's just not even a second VR. I don't even know if I use any apps on my phone for 40, 50 hours a week straight. Like I use Instagram a lot, but I think it comes out to like 4 hours a day, which is still, 20 hours at best.
Yeah.
And so I'm like users are using Immerse like twice as much as I'm using Instagram on my phone, and I use it a lot for professional use as well. So that being said, whenever you add a token to that helps continue to synergize or add to or enhance that experience, that's only going to drive additional adoption. We're really excited about that.
Yeah.
In addition to the credits, I would say something that can be overlooked is because there's so many moving parts to this thing. But building kind of like the world's economy inside something like a V Manhattan, if we want to provide ways for like those everyday citizens to be able to make immerse tokens off of like user generated content that they make, whether or not they have the skill set yet to do it, partnering with folks like you guys will enable them to at least figure out how to learn how to do that, and be better equipped to do that.
Yes, I was going to ask, are the transactions, in virtual Manhattan, if someone were to buy something from someone else, is this going to be in the Immerse token, or is this going to be, in Ethereum or Matic?
Yeah, our goal is to offer optionality, right? So if people so the point is the goal is for all of them, right? Obviously, we want to put incentive structures in general in our app to drive certain behaviors, such as, obviously we want our token to do well too. So we're probably going to give discounts for people who are able to use our token. But if someone's like, hey, I already have ETH and I just want to transact in that real quick because it's very simple, well, they'll have that ability too. Or if someone has none of them and they just have US dollars, well, okay, well, then just plug in your credit card and get that working, right? So we're going to give optionality, but obviously we do want to drive behavior towards helping kind of invest into our utility token as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, the other personas you have are property owners. Obviously, people that come in, buy land, either build on it or rent it out. You have builders, people that come in and build on the land. And then you have business owners. Like you said, you're trying to create an economy in the metaverse, people building businesses within the metaverse. Kind of like, Ryan was talking about with different experiences people can have. I mean, you could have a concert that, someone just builds a concert hall and then rents it out to a musician that wants to do a concert in the metaverse, correct?
Yeah, so we actually do have musicians right now who own land in Immerse Metaverse or in Virtual Manhattan, and like they don't even necessarily want it to be like office spaces, right? They want to be virtual concert venues, so they'll be able to work with like a Sandstorm or someone else to be able to build that concert venue. And not only could they perform out of their own concert venues and have custom experiences for their follower bases, but they'd also rent it out to, say, Justin Bieber the next time he does a Metaverse concert, or Post Malone or some of these other people who've already done concerts in the Metaverse. They'll be able to just rent it out from the hip hop artists who have it in our app already. And it'll be custom to whatever they want the experience to look like as well.
Nice. Yeah. And other things such as people developing virtual furniture, different things for your avatar. And then there was something that said real world delivery. Is that like if you were to buy something in app and it gets sent to you? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. So, for example, like, I mean, this is gonna be crazy, but don't be surprised if someday, so in partnership with Ready Player Me, if they're partnering with, these different sort of clothing companies who have very kind of prestigious brands like Nike, for example, if I have a Nike hoodie, virtual one or something, right, and I try it out and I like it, well, can I just, be able to select the settings on it and then actually have it sent to my house as well, so I could pay additional money because I just like how it looks on me? And if that's the case, then that's a world in which things like shopping just becomes even easier, right? So something you could kind of almost try before you buy, try virtually, and then as soon as you want to be able to have it IRL, then you just send it to your home.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, like, are you guys either in talks with or plan on being in talks with, I guess, different, like stuff like museums, virtual experiences? I guess that I just know people like to travel, but a lot of people can't afford to travel. So, virtually I could see where if you wanted to go and try it out in the virtual world in the museum and say, oh, maybe one day I'll see it in person.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any plans on doing anything like that?
Yeah, well, so that's partly why we're actually opening up an SDK for people to be able to build on top of it. So a lot of the interest that we get is actually just inbound, right? So we're not having to necessarily really go outbound and pursue certain experiences. We're just kind of getting everything and anything coming in. And for us, it's like, hey, if you can figure out a monetization model that works, and so say for example, I don't know, if someone says, hey, like IRL, my friends love coming over to my house and just watch the TV with me. And it's like, all right, well, I don't know if that would be a great business model in our metaverse, but hey, you could try it, I guess. And hey, if it does well, great. And if it doesn't do well, if they try it, it doesn't do well, then they probably aren't, probably are not financially incentivized to keep investing in that experience. But if there's another example where, the Museum of Natural History in New York City says, hey, like this works really well IRL, we'd love to be able to do this in virtual Manhattan as well, and then they build that experience and then it makes money. Well, then we obviously want them to continue doing that. So that's why we're kind of taking the approach of, instead of us going outbound and pursuing certain things that we think would work, it's kind of like, hey, let's just open it up, let people try it and see what sticks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we'll provide the support in the meantime, right? So if it's like they don't know how to drive traffic to it, like those are all things we can help them out with.
Yeah. I personally, I want to see sporting events in the metaverse. I think watching sports in VR is, you can sit courtside without having to pay the courtside fee.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's awesome because there's a lot of things that AR VR allows, right? Like more than just travel and certain experiences, but even just like, I don't know, I remember it was John Carmack, the co-founder or CTO of Oculus, who said, not everyone can have an island like Richard Branson in the real world, but in VR you can. And so if there are things like, just being able to experience certain things that just aren't possible in the real world, right? Like, so travel is one thing, right? Because sometimes it's cost prohibitive for some people. But also when it comes to, I don't know, things like having access to certain people you would never really have access to. So an example would be the hip hop artists who own virtual property and Immerse as well. If they want to be able to like hang out with their follower base like on a daily basis, right? Instead of just like TikTok live streaming or Instagram live streaming, and then just responding to comments on their phone, right? Like actually being able to sit side by side with them and actually feel like you're actually there without having to worry about security or physical safety. Like it's something that allows these influencers and subject matter experts or thought leaders to be able to spend more time, quality time with their follower base. And it gives more personable experiences for the follower themselves, right? So if anything, there's kind of a really strong monetization model there as well, but also even just the ability to build stronger relationships than what is available on a video call on your phone.
Yeah. And, something like recently with Ticketmaster and like Taylor Swift, I just like, the Travis Scott Fortnite event always puzzles me as to why more musicians aren't doing like virtual concerts, because Taylor Swift tickets are selling for like $1,500 because a lot of people want to go see her on tour, but she's not doing, I guess, enough venues where she could do it in the metaverse, sell $5 tickets, and you get 1 million people show, that's $5 million, and you're not really paying that much for the virtual space.
Yeah, and less logistics, less overhead. It's not location based, so it doesn't matter if you're in Paris or in I don't know, Uganda or like Australia. Like, no matter where you are, you could just log in and teleport there.
So it puzzles me why more musicians. I guess maybe the metaverse just needs to build out more, and there needs to be more of a thing. But I think that's going to be huge for sure. Do you guys plan on doing any other cities in the future besides Manhattan, or like right now you're just all focused on Manhattan?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're focused on Manhattan, but I mean, there are people who want to be in different cities that are more, some are entertainment focused, some are more experiential focused. So for example, like if I want to be able to go on a some sort of expedition in virtual Hawaii, well then, will Immerse have that? And that's something that we are looking into. Some people want to be able to create like Jurassic Park type experiences. Some want to create, calm beach experiences, and that all makes sense in like the context of virtual Hawaii rather than virtual New York. And then also when it comes to things like entertainment, well, virtual LA is something that has a stronger connotation or a stronger affinity and association towards entertainment focused things, right? Whereas virtual Manhattan could be more commerce, business, city life type stuff, and then LA could be more entertainment focused, right? So my point is, over the course of time, as users demand more and more cities, that's how we'll know what to build next. We don't want to build an infinite sort of, I think there are a lot of metaverse type games that are designed to be kind of infinite. Things like Meta Horizons or Roblox or some of these others, like those are designed to be infinite, but there's not going to be a strong supply and demand if that's the case. Instead, we want our the expansion of our metaverse to be based on demand, right? So if there's no demand, then we're not going to build a new space. We want to make sure that the demand in the current ecosystem is strong, regardless of regardless of what ends up happening longer term.
Yeah. And then you got all the Farmville people from Facebook come over. You might have to do Meta Kansas.
Yeah, that's right.
Sell some farmlands. Which, you guys do have some pretty big partnerships. Meta, what's the relationship I guess you guys have with Meta?
Yeah, so it's not like a funded partnership. I mean, there were times where they paid us for co-development type stuff, but they're not like an investor or anything. It's more they've given us early access to hardware. They are trying to figure out ways to get users to be in the headset more often. And again, because Immersed is the strongest use case for that, that's kind of why we work pretty closely together. And then likewise with all the other tech giants as well who are in AR, VR. Like they are trying to figure out how to make their hardware more compelling and something that can sell more units. And if there's a practical use case that makes the headset more valuable to people, then that's something that those tech giants want to make sure that they double down on, making sure the hardware is optimized for those types of use cases, right? So,
yeah, and I guess as an avid VR user, what are some things that you think I guess could improve to make VR more, I guess, usable?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for the Apple VR headset. Maybe Slater could bring that up as well. But if you Google Apple VR headset, actually some of those renders are apparently what it's actually going to be. It's super thin, super sleek, lightweight. Like think about it this way. Think about a VR headset that my mom would want to use, or like my cousins who are not gamers want to use. Right? It's something that it's almost like an iPhone type quality thing. Super light, super thin. Very sleek looking. That's the type of stuff that Apple creates, and their headset is apparently going to be that. Like Apple is the type of company that will only ship something if it's in a sense the final form factor of what people actually want. Meaning, if you had to dream up what your specs are for a VR headset, it would be super lightweight, super sleek, human eye resolution, super strong compute, so that the frames per second is like 120, if not higher. Super awesome, vivid colors, all of that. And Apple, they're not going to prematurely release hardware unless it hits that mark. And so because that's literally the one. And then as soon as they're able to actually get us developer kits and we can port over to that and they ship next summer, I mean, we truly believe that's gonna be a pretty massive event next year for us. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree, because I mean we know how everyone loves their Apple products, and you see a VR right now, they're like, I don't know if I want to try that. You throw an Apple logo on there, they're all in there, baby. They're like, I want a VR headset for Christmas.
Yeah. It's funny because even the Quest 2, like the Quest 2 headset, it was the most purchased consumer electronic gift for Christmas the past 2 years, more than Xbox and more than PlayStation, which is insane. Let alone when Apple comes out with their stuff. I think that finally people are going to realize that AR, VR is a computing platform that actually can be valuable, because again, like whenever Apple enters a hardware vertical, they crush it, right? Like even like the AirPods, for example, these things were not really new. Like this technology wasn't new in 2017 when these came out, right? Like in-ear Bluetooth earphones, that was a thing that Samsung had, Bose had them. But when Apple came out with them, it changed the game. It made it really compelling, right? Like, because a lot of people used to make fun of like this Bluetooth thing on my ear, look like a nerd or whatever. But like when you have this, the way that Apple markets it the way that they do, and the utility and the ecosystem they have alongside with the hardware itself, it gives them some crazy advantages, and it makes hardware relevant, right, to people. So
yep, they are definitely the trendsetters for sure. So, I mean, I'm excited to see what happens going forward with the Metaverse and VR. I personally don't even have a VR headset. I still need to get one, but
get the Apple one, man.
Yeah, I'll probably wait. I'll probably wait and see what Apple releases. See what their price point will be. It might be.
I'm guessing 2K. Yeah, just to be real.
Yeah.
Sure. If you got homework, bro, the next time we have one of these conversations, you have to have a headset by then.
Yeah.
There's actually a couple that are coming out in the next couple of months as well. So we can't talk too much about that, but there's some that are actually be really compelling on price point and quality. So stay tuned.
Yeah, I know we had talked about some stuff after we had ended the show last time, and because I was thinking about getting the VR headset, but then like you were telling me about all these different headsets coming out. I was like, I might wait and see what the field's looking like.
Yeah, give it I would say 6 more months.
All right.
Yeah,
I will do that. Maybe next Christmas. We'll see. Yep. But yeah, I mean, Awesome. Awesome. Love what you guys are doing. You guys are continuing to kill it. I hope, I guess, is there anything that we didn't cover on today's show that you feel like you want to talk about?
Yeah, Ryan, I feel like I talked a ton. I'll let you go.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. I think I'm trying to remember what that one of those first questions you had asked. I think particularly related to kind of mass adoption. I really do think that there's certainly form factor. Having a much more improved UI UX is definitely a big thing, because this is literally the next evolution of spatial computing. And so along with that, though, I would say there's a lot of folks that we still meet every day that didn't even know something like Immerse exists. Like, just being able to that's actually functional today. Like, it's not
Yeah.
perfect, but don't get me wrong. Like, we're not going to oversell the product, but it's very functional today, and there's a lot of benefits you can get out of it today. And so I think just simply being able to have the opportunity to try it on. And so just for all you viewers out there right now, I would just say, just pop into a local Best Buy or somewhere that sells like a Quest 2 or a Quest Pro, and just throw it on. And there's no videos or anything that we could say that would do it justice to explain what that experience is like. And so I think you'd be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, and what's so crazy is only like, though Immerse is one of the more popular apps on the Oculus Store, apparently only something like 3% of users have ever even found out that we exist. So we're like, we got a long way to go. Yeah.
No, I was gonna say, honestly, I feel like Mark Zuckerberg is not doing anything to help the metaverse currently, because anytime I see anything about the metaverse, it's that picture with him in front of the Eiffel Tower. Like, they're like, yo, the metaverse, this is what it looks like. I'm like, dude, come on.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of he gets a lot of crap. I will say this, like, to his defense, I will say, yeah, yes, that was not a good that was not a good look. But what I will say is, I give him props for really being public about his desire for this to be a future. Meaning, all the other tech giants are also pouring dozens of billions of dollars into AR VR without being public about it.
Yeah.
At least Zuckerberg has the guts to be straightforward about it. And what I will say is, he iterates very quickly with users, meaning his product's out there, he's getting feedback constantly, they're trying to make it better. Yeah, it sucks he had to let 11,000 employees go, but he really wants to focus and really wise up on what is he spending his time and effort towards as a leader, and as his company executes on certain things. And he's really honing in on, all right, we got to take this metaverse stuff more seriously. So what I would say is, to his credit, he's finally focusing a lot more in the areas that he should. And I truly believe in, really, in the next 6 months, you're going to start seeing some night and day difference between where they were to where they're going to be then. So that being said, I think that even when Apple comes out with their headset, it's honestly going to validate Meta a ton, right? Meta was public about it early. People are making fun of them, but also Zuckerberg, on one of the podcasts he was on, actually made the really valid point that people also grilled him like crazy on the iPhone, right? Or on the Facebook mobile app. Yeah. So because back then, the vast majority of people used Facebook on desktop, right? They would use Facebook chat in the little corner. You had your timeline, you had your groups and all that type of stuff. And so you needed almost like a full view. But the fact that he was saying, no, the next big thing is going to be Facebook mobile, people were just like, like investors were upset at him. Users were like, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. And then this started making way more revenue than any other product he'd ever built before. And so again, this is nothing new for him. When it comes to the next generation of computing, the next generation of the internet, of course, we're going to want a more personable version of what we have today. Of course, we want to be able to put on a pair of glasses and feel like we're actually together when we're really not. Because think about it this way. If you were to ever leave your home and forget your iPhone or your smartphone there, and you go out into the real world, so to speak, and you're surrounded by people in the city, you're still going to feel very, very lonely, because technically in today's world, most people, this is their window into the real world, meaning this is where all their friends and family are. This is where they spend time on Instagram, their texts, their phone calls, whatever. And even if they're physically out in the real world around real life people, they don't have relationships with them. All the relationships are on here. So I think likewise, when it comes to new technology that's coming out, Zuckerberg and all the other tech giants are going to want to figure out, how do we make sure that people can continue to build remote but deep relationships, so that it doesn't matter where you are on the face of the planet, but you can still have deep relationships regardless. And so that being said, if people are saying that all this stuff is like think about a technology that a tech giant has said, oh, this is this is, or that people have said this is the dumbest thing ever, and then the tech giants didn't really, or a version of that didn't end up existing. An example I would think of is like Microsoft had this thing called the Zune, but the iPod did well, right? So like something, there was a version of it that made sense, or even Microsoft's Windows Phone, right? Maybe the Windows Phone didn't work, but the iPhone did. Like there was a version of it that worked. So maybe even if Meta isn't the one to build the best hardware form factor, well, someone's going to build it, because we all know that an immersive version of, or even just the ability to have holographic information overlaid on my real world can give me superhuman abilities that I just don't have without it. And until Elon Musk can plug a computer into my brain, that's probably going to be the next best thing. So
ain't letting Elon Musk go anywhere near my brain. Man. But I mean, yeah, I think, like I said, you guys are killing it. You guys are doing amazing stuff, and I'm excited. Hopefully another 6 months goes by and we can revisit, see where Immersed is.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that.
And I want to say I appreciate you guys coming on the show today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us, man.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And I appreciate everyone watching. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day. And I believe there will be a stream again tomorrow on Friday. Make sure you guys check out immerse.com, ImmersedVR on Twitter. Do you guys have a Discord?
Yeah, immerse.com/community. Go straight to our Discord as well.
All right, make sure you guys get in the Discord. Stay updated on Immersed. And yeah, once again, thank you guys for coming on. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks. Take care. See ya.